Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Easier Said Than Done podcast. I'm very excited because today I've got Rose, one of my star students who joined the program about 12 months ago, actually. And this is before Brian and I got together to do the Parsity program together, but it's more or less the same program that Brian and I are doing together. And Rose joined us at a time when I think there was a lot going on. There was a lot going on in Rose's life. And so, Rose, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, and then we can take it from there because I've got a bunch of questions for you that you're going to enjoy answering given the huge transformation you've gone through. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So tell us about yourself, Rose.
Yeah, I've been a software engineer and it's been really a passion of mine to develop stuff and my path is not also straightforward like some people. Before coding back in 2008, I was got into systems analysis and then went to a job as business analyst. And then I worked with different companies, and those experiences kind of helped me actually to see a different side of programming. I've always been like programming, but when I had those jobs, it kind of really give me how things work on the management side. And it was really fun, like a lot of learning in there, a lot of talking to, VPs and SMEs and a lot of delegating tasks, but I still kind of always go back to being like programmer, asking technical questions and kind of, like suggesting like technical solutions, like what we can do and stuff, even though it's not my job. So I found myself like still craving for that, development kind of role.
And that,
So yeah, so what I did was, even though I also have like a bachelor in computer science, after coming here in the US, I kind of started to think of how I can kind of get ahead or refresh my skills. And that made me decide to go to a boot camp for like 3 months. And that's like full stack web development. And that's where we learn, Python and C sharp and Angular at that time, new
mhm.
Node.js and everything. Bootcamp was fun. I did learn, of course, I did learn some things. It's not really very in depth, but after that, after 2 months, I kind of just went applying after my bootcamp, and then I got into, my first professional software engineering job here in the US. And then after that, I get hired to another company, and then kind of like that's the time where I kind of felt the like stagnancy of where I am in my career. And I've always kind of really, my goal is to really have a lot of, like goals and kind of level myself up all the time. And I felt like it was really the time where, yeah, I got really stuck on shifting my career or leveling up my career or just, like even being open about it to my previous job.
Can I just jump in there, Rose, and ask because we have a lot of students who've done boot camps. We've had a few students who, like you, have software engineering titles and backgrounds. Many have done computer science degrees. I think people sort of tend to assume that once you've got one kind of coding job or you've done a computer science degree or whatever, like you're some sort of established software engineer. But it's not that way. Like there's so many different levels of software engineering, right? Like in many senses, you're more qualified than I am. You've been at it at least as long as I have been, et cetera, et cetera. But the kind of experiences we have on the workplace, not just you and I, like across engineering, is so different. There's no one type of software engineering. So, what made you want to join the program, given that, on paper, you had the skills? What was the problem that you were trying to solve?
Well, the main thing was I didn't really feel that I'm software engineer. Like yes, I'm coding all the time. I was able to solve or resolve tickets. I was able to do solve problems, add functionalities and whatsoever, debug and stuff like that. But I deep down I didn't really feel like I'm kind of pushing myself to reach my potential. Like
So, what would you say to people then, Rose, who feel, oh, I've learned a bit of code and therefore I'm a software engineer? What would you say to that?
I would say that I don't know, like coding is it really? Everything.
Hi, if you want a no BS insight into how to change your career, whether to code or something else, and how to actually get job opportunities in tech, then please subscribe and like. It's no BS because I have zero incentive to mislead you. I just want to help you and give you tons of value so that you will consider working with me to get to your next career. Take a look at the description text below to learn more about the training I offer. But I do post content here regularly, and by subscribing and liking and hitting that notification bell, you will get to know when I post new industry insights for you. You'll also know within about 3 seconds if you want to learn more, but at least you won't miss out. Oh, and please follow me on LinkedIn too. I pretty much post there every single day. Just look for my name, Zubin Pratap. All right, so please like and subscribe to this channel, and let's get back to the episode.
I would say that I don't know, like coding is it really everything as part of software engineering? Yeah,
It's
as
a
part of
small
software.
part of software engineering. Yeah.
Yeah, as part of like software engineer, it's not like we tend. I feel like most of the people who already are in the industry or trying to get in, like really thinks that it's all about coding. But when you get there, it's not really about that. There's
Oh,
a
it's
lot.
never been.
Yeah, there's a lot of mental challenges that you have to do, and at the same time, yeah, you have to kind of put yourself out there, expose yourself out there.
Yeah.
And you're not just on your desk coding like every day. You have to communicate with like different people,
Yeah.
and you have to change ideas, collaborate. And I think those are the things that, you know, even I am with experience already like missed. Like I feel like, oh, like being a software engineer is just like just coding
Yeah.
forever.
Very
And I
common mistake.
yeah, and I miss those, those important points that really make you stand out, that makes you better as a software engineer.
Yeah. In fact, that was a lesson I learned early on. Probably because I had the good fortune of, I had a career before that for like 15, 16 years, and I'd seen the same thing in other careers, that the main thing that attracts attention is not the thing that actually makes you successful in the job, right? Like if you want to be an author, it's not necessarily, you don't have to be the best writer, or you look at someone like Bruce Springsteen, who himself says he's not the best guitarist, he's not the best singer, right? But he's one of the best rock artists of all time. And the same thing when I was at Google, I asked a bunch of questions from very experienced, we're talking 20 plus levels, years, staff engineers. And they're like, well, in their view, not all of them said this, but this is the view that I took away from some of them. Coding is the writing part, when you're writing the actual code. But software engineering is when you try and figure out what code needs to be written, right? And what code does not need to be written, which is at least as important. And that's really hard. That's much harder than just writing the code,
Yes.
especially these days with the AI stuff. Like it'll just, especially if you're a front end engineer, it'll just do it for you. But knowing what needs to be done, how it's going to impact the product, the team, the other users, etc., is a very hard skill. So when you decided to join the Inner Circle program about a year ago, what were you trying to get out of it?
Well, the main thing that I wanted to get out of it is I really want to shift company. I want to That's kind of like the main goal, but apart from that, because I felt stagnant at that time, I really want to see people or like my boss or like my coworker that I'm more than just a developer, that I want to be heard and be valued and it's not just like I said, it's not just writing code all the time, but it's more like I am part of the team and the business, making decisions and kind of being involved, heavily involved in like the ideation of a web application or a business process. Yeah, I want to be really involved, and that's what kind of missing on my part is I felt that I'm just there to code, like
Hmm.
repeatedly, and I was not learning. And I felt like, there's something that I can change, but I don't know how. And I
Right.
keep, I don't know, like I know the problem, but I don't know how to solve it. So I
Solve it.
keep
Yeah.
going around and kind of got into the loop of like, okay, maybe I'll try something different, but it doesn't really work because I
Yeah.
really don't know how. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, I know the problem, but I don't know how to solve it. So
So that was Rose back then in late 2024. And who is Rose today? What's the transformation that you've gone through so far?
I think now with the program, the mindset has changed. I'm not saying 100% change. It's still a work in progress, but it's definitely better than when I started the program. Like now I have more direction, and like I know, like even before starting this new job, like I know what I want to do and I know what outcome I want in this new job. And I'm kind of like preparing more mentally actually, rather than like the coding part. Or I still get this, like worry a little bit or being anxious, like, oh, is this a new job? And
Sure.
and
Naturally.
there's a lot of things that can happen, but I'm focusing more on how I'm gonna approach it mentally, because I feel like that's the important part, and that's what the very important thing that I learned from the program is how to change, at least for me. I cannot speak for everyone, but it's the mindset and like learning how to deal with these situations that kind
Mhm.
of like make a bigger change for me, I think.
And so let's talk, because we'll talk about your new job for a moment, because I know you were super excited when you called me and told me you got it. Like I hadn't seen you that excited ever in the entire period of the program, and for good reason. You had some wonderful experiences in the interview, etc. But let's talk. You said something really important just a moment ago, Rose, about direction. What does it feel like when someone doesn't have direction? And what's the change that happens when you suddenly do have a direction and you know how to make a plan? So describe that process. Like, what does it feel like? What did it feel like for you before you had a sense of direction? And what's the change after you've had a sense of direction and the ability to wrap a plan around it?
So before I was doing it on my own. I did try tutorials, and I did try lead code, and I did tried a bunch of algorithms, like app or yeah, online materials, online resources,
Mhm.
read blogs and how do they do things. So I did try that, but yeah, because I didn't have like a solid plan, or no one's like kind of guiding me where to go,
Mhm.
and I still have a lot to learn. Like I always keep going back to the same point of like, yeah, nothing really happened. Like if there's even a change, it's like a little bit, like one
Uh,
step, and then that's it.
how long did you go through this phase, Rose?
I guess when I first started my previous company, to like first 2 years, it was great, like because it's something new,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of like learning a bunch of things. But then yeah, like after 3 years, 3+ years, then that's kind of like I've been doing the same thing, but I feel like there's still something missing.
Yeah.
And that's where like the question of, do I still feel fulfilled at my current
Yeah.
company? Do I feel like this, I can go on for the next 2 years or so, or maybe not? And all those things, like mostly emotional things, and those like mental questions really bugged me a lot during those times. But then yeah, like when starting the program, like it kind of, I think more like I said, like it's the mental exercises and mental modeling kind of helped me to really think of why I want to do this, and why I'm stuck, and why I don't want to be in this situation. So all those like why kind of like got answered, I think. and
And I
and
think
what
it's that way for everybody, Rose. I know you point to it a lot, but pretty much 100% of the students say that they're glad we do the mindset and psychology work in the first part, because you can't take action until you know how to think about things.
yeah.
It's literally simple cause and effect, right? It's how you think is how you do, and if you're not thinking right, you'll do the wrong things. It's really that simple. So it's no surprises at all. Okay, so well, tell us about your new role now, and tell us about your big learnings from the interview, because I remember one of the things you said to me was, there's a lot of rejection, it's hard and all that, but how have you learned to deal with that? What is your insight that you'd like to share with other people who think that that's because there's something wrong with them? What insight have you now achieved that'll unlock you for the rest of your life on interviews?
First of all, the mindset of it's not my fault. I think that's the main thing.
Not always, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, not always. Because like I said, there's a lot of things that happens in the hiring process when people starts to understand the job market and how things work, or when people have someone like, like in the program kind of guide me through that of like what's happening on the other side.
Mhm.
That really helped me to like change my mindset around rejection. So it's sad, it sucks every time it happens.
Sure.
There's still, a little bit of blaming, like, oh, maybe it's my fault, like, I didn't do this and that. But I feel like, yeah, like understanding the other side of it and putting yourself in that situation kind of helps me to have
To
that.
handle it. Yeah, no, 100%. And so, you also mentioned how in this interview process you did a few things differently. You asked questions, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Tell us about how that felt, what kind of courage it took. Were you nervous? What kind of, insights do you have from that experience and why you think that changed so much for you?
Yeah, well, what I did was I was really very intentional this time. It it it's
Interesting.
more
Yeah.
of, yeah, it's more of not just, you know, taking another interview, but I was really curious about, like I was kind of visualing everything in my head, like the
Mhm.
questions that maybe they will ask me, and then I prepared for the questions that I will ask them. I think that's the most
Nice.
important thing. And then, yeah, like I researched about, the company's website. I went through it really well. And
Okay.
then I kind of understand, even in a high level, their products, and then I kind of wrote down ideas of how I can help in
Nice.
their products long term. And I really internalize, like you said, like assume that they like you and they want you. So I really internalize those things that I want to be part of their team. I can see, like things that can be improved, things that I can help them, and also things that I can learn from them. And by having those mindset, it's still really, I was still nervous going into the
Oh,
interview.
that's never gonna go away. That's never gonna
Yeah.
go.
By having those questions, I wrote it in a notebook, and I took the notebook in the interview as well. I put it down. I wrote it everything down there, and it's just it gave me that calmness and confidence that I really prepared more than what I usually do, and this is something maybe different. This is something that maybe they will like. And yeah, I got really good feedback. And that, like I said, the interview, was more of like a collaboration. Like I was on their team, and I really enjoyed it. Like I've never had this type of interview before. And it was more of like, they were like my opinions and my ideas were being heard, and then I
Good.
was getting feedback real time as if I am one of their team members.
Yeah.
And
Well,
yeah,
you did act like you were one of the team members. That's the interesting thing because you used a really important word. You were intentional and you prepared a lot. And like I keep telling you guys, assume that they want you there because it's very expensive to hire. It's not just in terms of money, it's expensive money wise too, but also in time and effort. It's really a lot of work. And so if you're in the interview, they've spent a lot of time, at least most of the time, if they're a good interview, they spend a lot of time to get you there. And so if you act like you're part of the team, they're going to love it because I've been on the hiring side a long time now across all my careers. I can't tell you how desperate hiring managers tend to be, especially at smaller places, to find somebody. They just want the job search done. They just, as much as the candidate wants it, the hiring manager wants it. And so if you end up being the person that they can imagine in the team right away, it changes the dynamic. Like you said, you started off nervous, but then you ended up enjoying the interview. Like how often does that happen, right?
yeah,
It comes from the intentionality. Good on you. Well done. Well
thank
done.
you.
So, what would you, looking back, right? If people are like worried about learning to code, worried about becoming an engineer, worried about leveling up their careers, what do you think is the difference between focusing on the job and focusing on the career? What advice would you give to people on that?
I guess I would say focus on the career as a general, because they're, like if you learned how to code already, or if you know how to code already, like you can do the job, no matter what. But when it comes to, when you think about your career, it's a lot of things. And I think for me, that's where I like faced my why, like why do I want to stay in this industry? Why do I want to move to another company?
We
Why,
spend so much time on that in module 2. Yep.
yeah, why
So
am I stuck in everything? All the why. So I
yeah.
think, figuring out, like, for people who wants to get into software engineering, I know it's really hard. I've been there. And like, or for people who are already here, I mean, it's still hard, no matter what.
It
Both,
never stops being hard. This is what I tell people. It never something magically becomes easy. Yeah.
yeah, both ways it's still hard. But I think, like, knowing why you want to do it the very first time, or yeah, when you decide, I want to be a software engineer, I want to be in the software industry, like ask yourself why. I think
Yeah.
that's the most important, because if you're just there for, if I'm being honest, like, if you're just there for the money, if you're just there for, like, the title, oh, I'm a software engineer, it's cool, right? You're kind of famous, it won't really last. It's
No.
not gonna help you last in the industry, because I've been here for, I guess, in totality, like, more than 5 years. I stayed even though every company, every job sucks. It is not always perfect. Every company has flaws.
Yeah.
Every experience is has something on it, has bad on it. So, like, yeah, I think, because I really want this, like, bad. I like the challenges that it gives me. I learn a lot from it.
Yeah.
Whenever I solve a bug, it's like, damn, it's a big accomplishment, even if it's a small one. Like,
Yeah.
if you think you have that feeling, you have that, like, inner drive, I think, of, like, it's a spark whenever you do something, and whenever you accomplish, even if
100%.
it's, yeah, even if it's like centering a div. I know everyone will say it's hard.
It's a joke. Yeah, but but it's true. It is the
Yeah.
what you're describing there is the love for the craft. And I wish there was a way that people really understand this, right? I've been saying this for so many years. In the program, like I've coached, I mean, because we work with so few people at a time, I want to say we've coached maybe 80 to 100 people, in the last few years. So it's not a lot of people because we work with so few, but there's always one factor that separates the people that succeed enormously from everybody else. It's not intelligence. It's not even geography. A lot of people think, oh, being in the right city matters. It helps a lot.
Mhm.
But we have so many people who aren't in the greatest geographies who do well, right? The one thing that separates the people from everybody else is what you said. They've got to want it so badly. That's literally it. It makes up for, if you think you're not smart enough, doesn't matter. If you think you're not in the right city, doesn't matter. If you think you have the wrong background, doesn't matter. You just have to want it more than the other people.
Mhm.
And that's why career change is hard. It's because the market will keep saying, no, 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 it's all about this. It's all about the skill. It's all about the easy, obvious thing. But it's never just about that, because there's always going to be people better than you.
Yes.
There's always going to be people better than you, no matter which profession you're in. The only way you stand out to the hiring manager is by being good enough to get the job done and wanting it more than everybody else and proving that you do. And it's
Mhm.
not by doing more lead code. It's by doing what you did, preparing on the company, really going deep, having that conversation, coming up with ideas, bringing a notebook with all the ideas with you. That is a level of preparation most people don't do. I've almost never seen that in my interviewing journey in any of my careers, right? Like, people just don't do that, which is why I tell you, do it. It makes you stand out. So look, I think, one of the last things I want to talk to you about, because everyone's going to look at your story and say, oh, Rose, she had a computer science degree, or, she was coding a little bit before that. And, they'll always diminish your transformation because they want a reason to feel better about themselves by saying it
Mhm.
was easier for you. So let's talk about how it is not easy for you. Let's talk about the rejections, being laid off just before these interviews, and the psychological impact of all that. And still you nailed it out, hit it out of the park. So let's share with the people some of the hardships you went through. Just, at a high level, talk about the rejections, the failed interviews, the offer that got, modified, and like all the weird things you went through, right? That I was there every step of the way coaching you through. So share with people all the setbacks you had.
Yeah, I mean, even before joining the program, I've had interviews. I failed a lot.
Of
Being a
course.
software engineer is not easy. Even if you get after you get into the job itself
Oh
is
my God.
Yeah, it's hard. Like this industry is so competitive that you really have to grind every day. And I'm not talking about like vibe coding or something. I'm talking about like trying to, like code more than 8 hours, more than 12 hours sometimes, because you have to hit the deadline and you have other tasks to do. Like it's really hard. The nature of the job itself is hard. It's not a joke. That's why I said it's more than writing code. It's
Yeah.
very mentally challenging, and if you're not up to it, yeah, you're not gonna last. And this
Yeah.
is based on my experience. But yeah, I've had tons, like a lot of interview coding, live coding. I've heard, people like software engineers, like senior software engineers tell me like, oh, like, you have good experience, but I think, your coding lack this, and you need to be more faster. You need to be, yeah, like
Oh,
you weren't able to, like explain your thought process. And this was like even before, even before I got in software
yeah.
engineering, where I was having a lot of interviews. And there was moments where I just kind of stopped. Like I was it was live coding, and I was
Went
blocked.
blank. Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say, and I just said, I'm sorry, but I think I won't be able to finish the live coding. And then that's it. They said, okay, thank you for being honest, but I think you are not the one we're looking for. And
Sure.
that's it.
Yeah.
So I've had those. And it's for me, yeah, it is hard. It was really hard. It's not a joke.
And
So
this is even though you have a computer like people don't understand how this is not a question of, oh, I have a degree, so it's going to be easier for me. No, it's not. It is a hard thing at every level. And so many people think that, oh, once I learn to code, I'm going to be a software engineer for the rest of my life. You're probably not. What's going to happen is after 5 to 10 years, you're going to say, okay, I want to get into better pay, better leadership, more impact, more influence. I don't want to be coding all the time. I want to be having more strategic impact because that's where the growth lies. And then now what are you going to do? Now all you've done is code all your life. You haven't learned how to handle your psychology. You haven't learned how to manage your career. You haven't learned how to work with other people cross functionally, how to communicate, which is why in the program we spend so much time on all of this, because it's
Mhm.
about career. There's no point jumping out of the frying pan and into the fire and succeeding for the first 2 years of your life and then spending the next 10 years being miserable the way you were in your previous career. If you're going to transform your career, transform it for the rest of your life. Otherwise, what's the point, right? Like, what
Yeah.
is the point in doing this? You're just wasting time. So, yeah. So for those of you who are listening, obviously Rose and I won't go into all the details, but we've been on a few calls where Rose has had some very difficult, unexpected, weird, or just downright demoralizing outcomes. And I will say this: it's not like Rose was impervious or immune to disappointment. Rose has felt disappointment, deep discouragement, lost motivation. And every time she'd reach out and we would sit together or talk together or do it over email, whatever was convenient and whatever was needed at the time. And then Rose would pick herself back up again. And guys, whoever's listening to this, that's the difference. Rose said it herself. She wanted it more than anything else. And she was willing to pick herself up every time something happened. And yes, lots of things happen. Most of you will see success stories, whether it's Rose or me or somebody else online, and you'll think it was just a cruisy walk to the top or to that level wherever they are. It wasn't. I failed more interviews than I passed. I will continue to fail more interviews than I pass in the future of my career. Rose will also do the same. I had Aline Learn on the podcast a couple of times, and if you look for the episode with her, you'll see that she says only about 25% or less of FANG level engineers are consistent, which means 75% or more are not consistent and they get scores all over the board, right? That tells you something about the reality of interviews in any career, but especially in engineering. So much of your interview performance depends on the opinion of the other person. And that dynamic makes for a huge variety of outcomes that may have nothing to do with you on the day. Like, somebody could love the way you are and the other person may not love the way you are. I have this problem a lot because I'm a bit of a chatty engineer. A lot of engineers don't like me because they're like, you speak too much. Okay. Other engineers like it. You communicate a lot. We understand what you're thinking. We see where you're going with this. We want to work with you. Other engineers love it. You're not going to be for everybody. You're going to have a lot of setbacks. So, Rose, just to wind this up for you, congratulations. I'm so incredibly proud. And honestly, you know this, you've seen others in the program talk about this. They ask great questions and interviewers say, oh, we asked great questions. But we also see people who decide that after doing the program that maybe software engineering is not the right thing for them, not because they changed their mind about software engineering, but because they realize, hang on, I actually do like the career I'm in. I just didn't know how to play the game. And now they go back to their careers. So, just thank you for sharing your story, because the key takeaway for people here is the game is never what it appears from the outside. The rules are a bit different for everybody. You have to manage the way you think, because how you think affects what you do. And
Mhm.
every time you fall down, if you want it badly enough, you will pick yourself up. And that's what motivation looks like. Motivation is not a bumper sticker. Motivation is, okay, I know I fell down. I want to do this. I'm going to try again. I'm going to try again. I'm going to pick myself up again. I'm going to keep going. Whatever happens, I'm just going to keep going. Rose, you've exemplified that. You should be incredibly proud. I was so impressed during the program because you had some setbacks and I'm like, ooh, let's see. There's only so much I can do as a coach. I can only hold the mirror up and say, hey, Rose, you've got this. It's just a question of time. But you have to do the picking up. You have to step up. I can't do it for you. And every time you did it, I was so impressed. So well done. Well done.
Thank you. I did it.
Of course, it's hard. No one should ever expect success to be easy. It is an unreasonable. If success came easy, that means you got lucky. You didn't earn it. There's a reason why it's called earning it, because earning is hard. It's hard. It's a competitive world. It's a big planet. You know,
Mhm.
but
Right.
again, like we talked about last week, this is the beginning, Rose. It's not the end for you. It's not your goal is the beginning of your next goal. Okay. So from here, now you know how to run your career. You know how to be intentional about these things. There is absolutely no reason why someone like you cannot be VP CTO. Absolutely no reason. Just if that's what you want. If you want to be, an individual contributor, staff engineer, whatever you want. The point is, it's more than just having the skill. It's a lot more.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
having the intentionality. You have to be intentional. Okay. So
Right.
you got this. You got this.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. All right. Any final words that you'd like to share with the audience about, advice for them that you wish you'd had previously? Any big standouts that you'd like to share with them? Anything at all, even from things from within the program, you're welcome to share it. I don't keep any of the secrets. So, what anything that you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, find, a good mentor. Especially I no, I think it really is important, especially, in this industry. I know some people can just I don't know how they do it by themselves, but I feel like in some ways they do have someone to guide them, even if it's experienced coworker, even if it's they're senior engineers, like
Yeah. It
they
could just be their parents. Sometimes their parents have done it.
yeah.
So,
Or friends, or
yeah, friends. Yeah.
someone that can give you like a different perspective of what you're going through, and maybe they can, you can get their ideas and apply it on your own. But really, I think, if you are serious about things to change, seek someone who is, who has experience on these things. And yeah, it should be more than just changing jobs or changing into a company. It should be more than that. It should be like a holistic approach.
Yeah.
And that's why I really like this program. And if it's hard out there, I know, like it's gonna be, like I said, it's gonna be a different level of hard every time. But like I said, if you really want this job, or this certain career or whatever, just find your why every time and kind of
Correct.
stick to it. And it will really help you, even if it's like you don't want to do it,
On the
because
darkest days. Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
just
People, it's quite funny because you say the thing about the problems getting bigger, and, at the gym, people celebrate when they're able to lift heavier weight. It's a sign of progress. Why isn't that the case in real life? Like, if your problems are bigger, that means you've grown. It means you're at the next level. People seem to think that, oh, when you go to the next level, everything you're going to be sitting on a yacht somewhere drinking pina colada. It's not that way. It's like at the gym, next level means heavier weight, more load, more stress on the body, right? That is literally what leveling up means. It's the same thing in real life. Your problems get bigger, and you should celebrate when you have a bigger problem than you did last year. That's literally proof of progress. Like, that's a good thing. It's not a sad thing, it's a good thing, and you can handle it. You can take the load.
Yeah, I think with that, my takeaway on that is, like, I think, most people, especially me too, like, I see it as like a, yeah, like I said, like a negative thing. And like I think, these challenges and these failures and these negative things is kind of like it's masked, it's actually growth. So if we're not like being challenged in life, if we're not like like tripping or getting our head bumped or whatever, if we're not having those challenges, like what, like you have, I don't know, I'm not saying seek for it, but I'm
Yeah.
saying like these will help us like really grow.
Yeah.
So it's hard to flip it, that these are amazing, I need this to grow, this will make me stronger.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
the mind is no less a muscle like the body is.
know.
It's the same thing. Life is the gym for the mind. That's what happens. You can treat it that way. And look, your recent success is big. I know you were worried about what kind of next level job you're going to be at. Your new roles, at a big national chemical company, and you're doing a lot of engineering work. And a lot of people think, oh, the only engineering work is out there in Fang. It is not true. Some of the most interesting problems you'll solve is in companies where you're much closer into the business, and the business is not
Mhm.
necessarily just software. Like, if there are other things to the business, you will solve some really difficult problems. The reason Amazon's an interesting place is not because Amazon is a tech company, but because Amazon is a distribution company. That's
Mhm.
what makes Amazon really hard. It's a really hard thing. So you're going to do very, very well. Thank you again for your time. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and advice. Always here for you. You know that we're such a small community that we're always there for each other. So congratulations once again, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all the help. Thank you for everything, for for the push and all those things. Like, I'm really grateful for this program, and for the mentoring and everything. Even though you said like we do all the heavy lifting, but it's still nice to have someone directing you to the right path. So it's really amazing. Thank you so much.
It's literally is a pleasure, Rose. It's why I do it. It's such a joy for me. So thank you for saying that. But all right, we'll have you up maybe in a few months or in a year or so to report back on your first year and all the growth. But we'll have another episode with you in the future for sure. But thanks again, and I'll see you next time.
See you. Thank you.
Do it. Just subscribe. You know you got to do it.
Hey, hope you're enjoying this episode. Listen, I bet you're tired of the social media BS, you're confused and overwhelmed, and all you want is for someone to just show you a clear path to a coding career, right? We get it. My partner and I, we changed to code in our 30s, and we can help you do it too. Brian and I have done all sorts of engineering work from startups to Google, and now we've built an exclusive private mentorship program designed to get you from beginner to professional developer. Whether you've done a coding bootcamp, you have a computer science degree, or you're starting from zero, it doesn't matter. We'll build you a step-by-step and customized plan, not just for the coding stuff, but for the entire career change process. Look, I'll be honest, the program is not easy and it's not short. But if you do the work, you'll get results that will change your life, if that's what you want. Go to any of the links in the show notes and you can schedule a free call with us. Speak to you then.